next day we had to have a serious chat with the year ones and year twos. He'd set the tone straight away, and you knew, like, you know, anyone that laughs is getting a scold in there. You know, this is serious stuff. Welcome everybody to the first ever episode of the Teachers Lounge podcast. I'm Christian Webster, and today we're going to be talking about teaching assistants. So who better to have on the show than my trusted, loyal colleagues? We've got Sophie and Kaylee, aka Miss Sophie and Miss Kaylee. How are you both?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, enjoying the summer holidays?
I was going to say that's a very good introduction.
Good.
Very confident.
Take one. All gone well. Yeah, enjoying the first week of the summer holes.
Yeah, it's good.
What have you been up to?
Swimming. And that's about it, really, so far.
Kaylee's boring.
Yeah.
What about you, Miss Sophie?
Well, living life to the full. 5 days in, is it? No, 4 days. No, just trying to get into my head that it's the summer holidays, and yeah, we don't need to get up for school. You can just have a lie in if you wanted to.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Yeah.
Come do a podcast.
Come and just do a podcast on a Wednesday. As you do. What about you, Mr. Webster?
I went to the Royal Welsh yesterday, which was really good. First time I've been there. A lot of teachers there, as you can imagine. They've all like flooded out after school.
Let loose.
Yeah, so that was really good. Kids enjoyed it. Yeah, nice to have a bit of a lie-in too. Yeah. So anyway, we're here to talk about teaching assistants.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah, no one better to have than you two, because between you've got a wealth of knowledge and experience working in a range of settings.
Why did we not get the Fountain of Knowledge Award then, if that's the case?
Well, you might after this. We'll see. You got to earn that Fountain of Knowledge Award. So what I want to know is, did you plan to be a TA, or was it like a career path that you chose, or was it because I know a lot of people that are TAs purely because when they had young kids, it was a really flexible job that they could do. They could have term time with their kids, and then it's just stuck. So I'm just interested to know, was it designed, or was it like coincidence or accidental?
Mine was definitely coincidence.
You got Kaylee got scouted.
I did.
Headhunted.
Yes. No, I just, like lots, I wanted to have a flexible working hours with my children still young. Yeah, and then I was asked if I'd like to do a few TA hours, and it's just gone from there.
You were never let go. You just held hostage in the school. You never left since.
Yeah, but I do really enjoy it. I do think it's a good job for people with young children and who have wanted to work with children.
Yeah, super flexible.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another job like it, really, in terms of like parenting.
Yeah.
Like giving you the freedom to spend time with your children.
Your own children, yeah.
Holidays, half terms.
Definitely.
So what about you then, Soph? Was it
Um,
intentional?
I wouldn't say TAing was intentional, but to get my foot back in the education system was intentional. Just want to be a teacher, so it's a really good step to, getting that.
Yeah, and giving you that experience to go on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but having that inside knowledge as well. Like, I couldn't imagine doing the PGCE without doing this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so like it's given me such like a step up, really.
But what'll be amazing is when you go to do your PGCE, you'll have all the experience from being a TA, and there'll be so many people doing it that haven't had that, and it'll be such a shock for them.
Yeah, just things like when we've had our timetable back now, and it's just like a lot of things that we do on a day-to-day basis. You can just really apply that knowledge into your practice into knowledge. But yeah, it's just going to be very helpful. But yeah, it's just it's amazing that you really can't beat it. Every single day is different. You can never predict what the day is going to bring.
So let's get comfy now. So there's lots of perks to being a TA. So like we said, you get the term time, holidays. It's pretty flexible in terms of like working hours. It can be, but there are some negatives that I feel we should discuss. Pay being one of them.
Pay? What pay?
Yeah, exactly. And TAs are like gold dust at the moment. They're really hard to come by. And I've only been teaching like 12 years, and I've seen like a massive decline in teaching assistants. And then you guys get spread out across the ground doing more jobs. And you're almost, I don't think people realize the amount of work that you have to do. Do you think the general public, or, you know, people, your friends, actually understand what you have to do?
No, I'd 100%. I think there's such a stigma that even with teachers, like you just play all day. All you go to school and you literally just play. Like, you've got no responsibility.
Let's make podcasts.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like Kaylee's always said, like, it would be amazing if like parents could just come in and just spend half a day just seeing like the roles that we play within the school. So like what the teachers do, what the TAs do. Just have that understanding, because it is extremely difficult at times. And I think, the pay doesn't
It's
really
ridiculous,
do it.
isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Ridiculous. So I obviously speak to my other friends that are TAs. Like, I have a life outside of you two. You know, not my only TA friends, you know. And they were saying the amount of things, like from Monday to Friday, like you said, every day is different. But you'll come in and it's like, oh, I need you to be in reception today because we don't have enough staff. And then the next day it's, I need you to be in year 5 and 6. And, you know, that's not necessarily what you signed up for.
No.
And for the pay, you guys are basically teachers. And we've had it in the past where I've had to go out of a lesson. And if sometimes there's only one of you in here, and we have both of you, and that is an absolute luxury. Like, we've got to stress that. No, hardly any schools have 2 TAs in their class, do they? But when you've been on your own and there's been like an emergency, which happens quite a lot, and I've had to go out, you literally have to have that class. You have to have the responsibility of that entire class for however long it takes.
Yeah. Just have to perform under pressure. Yes. But no, I just think any sort of job where you're responsible for children, there should be like a minimum, you know, non-offensive pay bracket. Because I think it is such a responsibility.
It really is, yeah.
You have their lives.
Other people's children.
Yeah. Their lives are in your hands. Like, we have a lot of medical needs.
Yeah.
We've got diabetics in the school with, you know, and we have EpiPen carriers. It's a massive responsibility. And what's really sad is in recent years, people have left schools to go and work in supermarkets because they can get more pay and they have way less responsibility.
100%. I think as well, like, if you're required to have certain qualifications, like in your contract, I think again that should be taken into consideration in terms of pay scale. Yeah. Like you said, like, you shouldn't feel like you have to go somewhere where you don't necessarily need qualifications. Where you don't have to have a DBS check. Like, that's quite a big, like, not that we have anything to worry about, but it's quite a big thing. Like, when you sign up to like the DBS check, they're looking, you know, through your personal, like, you're giving your, like, yourself into the organisation, you know. Yeah, and it's honestly, like, it's quite a process to go through before becoming a TA. Like, in terms of things you have to sign up for, and
I think what most people don't realise, especially parents, I don't think parents realise this, and if they did, they'd be quite shocked, but I'm going to say it anyway. It used to be that TAs were very specialised, and you would have to do certain levels in education or courses to even be considered in an interview. And like I said, you're like gold dust now. You're so hard to find. And in recent years, it feels like schools are almost getting anybody they can, just a body, just to be in the class as a body.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are so many schools where people have said, I've never been a TA before. You know, I've come from a completely different background and I'm doing it. And you just think, oh, so you've had no experience whatsoever, and they've just come in because they just need a body because there's so few TAs on the ground. It's crazy, isn't it? And again, they come into that classroom environment with all the same responsibilities, don't they? EpiPens, inhalers, you know, teaching children how to learn.
you hear a lot about like third party organisations as well, like recruitment agencies.
Yeah.
Like getting people that necessarily don't have any qualifications but doing their qualifications in the school, and learning that sort of on the job rather than having the qualifications beforehand, which is a really good like access point. But when you're kind of reliant, you know, that person's instantly given a lot of responsibility, and like you said, become like another person that's relied upon within the classroom. It's just exactly like you're saying, like just another person.
Yeah, definitely.
So, do you think? I know your view on this. I'll ask this specifically to Kaylee, but you can chip in as well. So every time we start a new year, most often than not, I normally get a new teaching assistant. Yeah. It's quite rare now to have the same one stick with you. And every time I get a new one, I'm always I'm a little bit like offended by the term teaching assistant. And we spoke about this. So I always make a bit of an effort to say, you know, especially if I don't know the person, I'm like, right, we're a team, you know, we're together. It's not like I am better than you. I am, you know, in charge of you per se, if that makes sense. Because traditionally, I think there has been like a hierarchy, but now, like we said, with your roles changing so much, you do just as much. So what I want to know is, like, do you think the term teaching assistant should be changed? And if so, what do you think it should be changed to?
Oh, my word. I don't know. Teaching assistant. I haven't really thought about it, if I'm quite honest with you.
Go on, Soph, you've thought about this.
I see you like assistant teacher.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not a teaching assistant, are you? Like,
no.
Like we don't come in the morning and we're like go and do the photocopying and just you're not a dog's body, like, you know.
Definitely.
I think we've got a huge part with like the nurturing side of the children. I think that teaching assistant is just not accurate, and you're defining someone, like when, like we just previously said, like a lot of people might not realise what goes into the role. So teaching assistant, I don't know, it just feels a bit dated.
What would you change it to?
Well, I do like assistant teacher.
Yeah.
And also I think like it's just empowering. I feel like I don't know, it just feels more.
It gives you more credit.
Yeah.
In the role, in the title, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But no, I think it's interesting. I wonder if anyone's really ever considered it before, like, and actually taken into consideration like how dated it sounds. And yeah. Because
I mean, when you think about it, when we do language or math, we have like at least 30 kids in a class now, don't we? And you have to obviously have 3 groups, a lower, a middle, and a top. And you would have to have a group. You would have to teach that group. Yeah. And I don't think people realise you are actually teaching every single day in every lesson. You're teaching. And I think people always think it's the teacher that does all the teaching. Yeah. But in reality, you probably do exactly the same amount of teaching that I do, because we split into groups.
Also, I remember you telling me a story about when you first became a teacher and your teaching assistant or your assistant teacher. You said you just learned, she was so experienced and you just learned so much from her.
I'm going to name her.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll mind.
She deserves it.
It was the fabulous Mrs. Penny Thomas. Yeah. She wasn't my first TA, but like I said, every year you often get a new one, but I had her for a substantial amount of time. I had her for about four, maybe 5 years consecutively. And that was amazing because she was so experienced. And I'd often get paranoid because if someone ever came into my class, so bear in mind, it was my second year of teaching, I genuinely think people would think, oh, I'm the TA. Because Penny was so good. And I owe loads to Penny because I learned so much from her. She was so good. And I think I had to be brave enough and not have that power trip and say, no, I'm the teacher. Like, I'm not learning from you. Mm-hmm. I'd be silly not to learn from her. And she was really good because she if I didn't want to do something, she was obviously, that's absolutely fine, but she would always give me ideas. She'd be like, what about this? Have you tried this? And she's, I've done this before. This would work really well.
Yeah.
Someone, amazing, absolutely amazing. And then obviously after 4 or 5 years, that gave me such a good foundation. I had all this knowledge and skills from
like,
her.
why would you not use that experience
Exactly.
to your
Yeah,
advantage?
absolutely amazing. Yeah, really good, really good. So, I'm just thinking of a time. Do you remember when we did the activity where we gave the children a budget and we said go online and do some shopping, and you have a budget and you have to spend, X amount of pounds and stay in your budget, but it has to be healthy. So I'm going way off thing now. So I saw online this morning, it was a high school activity, year 8, and they've been given like the exact same task. They had to go and budget and it had to be healthy. And the teacher had collected in all the papers, and there was like a secret hidden note on the bottom of the task in pencil, and it said, please help me. I'm not ready to be an adult. I've just spent 32 quid on asparagus.
Do you know, I think every teacher should do it, because it's a bit of an eye-opener when you say, this is how much adult things cost. Like cheese is so expensive.
So funny, yeah. And we always go on about those life experiences, don't we?
Yeah, no, 100%. That was a really good lesson, actually.
It was good. So thinking of lessons like that now, are there any specific things that as assistant teachers you think is really, really valuable in the classroom? Anything that you think works really well? So if someone's watching this now as a, someone that wants to be a teacher, is a teacher, or works inside a classroom, anything that you would recommend that works well? Any tips or anything like that you can think of?
I think the biggest thing is routine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like the same activities every day, but I think you're so good at, like, when they come in the morning, you'll say, right guys, we're going to do this today, and you'll talk them through the day. There's like things that you implement that, like, say like your checklist, the famous checklist. The checklist. But just things that are like consistent and just, but you're really, really good with routine and
thanks. So
and that
good.
reassurance as well. So routine doesn't have to be like the same thing every day, but just like a routine, knowledge of the routine. So that reassurance. I think that's you'll get far with those two things.
Definitely routine. I think children just feel safe, don't they?
Yeah, and like with just things like 5 minutes before the lesson finishes, like you put the timer on the, you put the visuals on the board.
Timer, yeah, kids love a timer.
Yeah, so it's just they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how long they've got left, and then they're ready. They're sat down ready before that timer goes off, and you're just able to then calmly explain. Right, we're going to go and get our bags. Just these little things I think go so far. Because I've been in classrooms before where you haven't got that and it's just chaos and you're like, what is going on? Like, but just having really, really simple things that are really accessible, free, really help you. Yeah.
So another thing I want to ask you, and it could be throughout your career as a teaching assistant, has there been a time where you've felt really rewarded and gone, this is what I'm here for? Has there been a time with a child where you've done something and gone, do you know what, like, that is it, that is the gold moment that I've been searching for? Is there a time where you've really like turned someone around a corner and go, yes, they can do that now, and that's what it's all about?
There's lots of times that nice things happen, isn't there? But
I think.
But you with your little groups, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I've been working with a little group of children and just seeing, it's just when you see it firsthand, like when they're not able to do something, and then like a few months down the line, they can just do it. And then you think, wow, like that is down to me. Like,
yeah, and it was, and purely to you, because like we were saying before, like having groups specifically, like with nothing really to do with me. that was a group separate from the
Yeah,
class
yeah.
because, you know, it was
That
at a
sounds so
different
big-headed,
level.
by the way. That I don't mean it in a big-headed, but you know, when you're just like, wow, like I actually contributed something.
Yeah, but this is what we were saying about like
Yeah.
the pay and how important, you know, you guys are.
Yeah.
And people don't realize the impact that you have on these kids' lives.
Yeah, just like basic skills as well. So in that little group I just mentioned, there's one student who just really struggled to like read, blend his sounds, write. But we got to like a point where he's just able to read, like just really confidently, able to like write 4-letter words really confidently. And it's just that moment for me. It's the moment when, because we'd go out for our lessons, coming back in and just like telling you like, oh, they've done this, like he's been able to do this, and then just even like write on the lines and like just, you know, really having that really small little wins. Yeah, they go so far. But you really care about the children, so it's so much more than just, oh, they're able to do this. You just feel so proud of them. I think they're probably the biggest moments when you feel genuinely like so proud of if they've achieved something.
Definitely.
For anybody thinking of becoming a teaching assistant, first of all, what skill or trait do you think is the most important? Do you think there's one thing that you really must have if you want to work in this profession?
One skill.
Like for me, I would say flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think being, I don't know how to say it, not taking anything too seriously.
Resilient. Being resilient.
Being able to like,
brush things off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like you might have the worst day. Like say if there's like been a big hurdle in the day, and like you've just gotta not take it personally, come in to the next day and just think today's a fresh day.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah, definitely be resilient. Because things don't always go to plan, as we know. Like
Absolutely.
you don't know what the children are going through at home. Like you just don't know what's going through their little minds, and you might have an activity planned, and it could just be an absolute disaster. But it's not personal. Like it's not. Yeah. It could literally be something they've eaten.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It could be.
Literally.
But yeah, just being really resilient. But I think flexibility is a really good skill to have as well. Good asset to have.
Well, that's reminded me as well. I was going to ask you, this is something I think about. Do you feel like standards today have shot up for these kids? Because for example, I remember when I was in primary school in 5 and 6, we were learning specific things, and now they're learning it in year 3 and 4. And I just feel like the expectation on what they're required to know and do is so high.
Yeah.
I think for us, like we're all quite a similar age, and I think school is just like you can't compare school to how it's just like a different
It is,
era.
yeah, especially now after COVID,
definitely.
isn't it?
Yeah. Like it's just whatever we had when we were in school. It's just like it was very traditional, very.
And we were saying, and again, this is so important for the teaching assistant's role, how like friendly and engaging you have to be and welcoming. And when I was in school, you wouldn't really have a conversation with your teacher and like get to know them.
This is what I said to you the other day. I was
like your teacher.
Yeah, I would never go to my teacher in school and say, "Oh, me and my friend had a fallout," and she'd just say, "Right, it's not my problem. Go outside." Like she just would not entertain that nurturing.
And it was almost like a barrier, wasn't there?
Yeah. It was like there's so much more authority, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like you'd have not that we don't have respect, we definitely have, but it's a different type of respect.
But again, it's another role that teaching assistants have had to pick up. You're almost like a therapist now as well.
Yeah.
Because kids will go to you because, and like we were saying, you spend a lot more time with some children than we do.
Yeah.
And that child will go to you before they would go to me.
Yeah. Especially like with like girls might just want to like talk about their friendship problems with us being women.
Yeah.
Whereas like boys might want to naturally go to you
and
discuss that. But yeah, definitely you've got to learn certain things to like certain counselling skills, I'd say. To get them back, if they go out the classroom, you've got to get them back in that class where they're safe.
Yeah.
You've got to have a few tricks up your sleeve, a few one-liners.
And it's always funny when people, like we said before, that haven't been teaching assistants at all, they've come from a completely different background. They come into the job with that expectation of what they think it will be, like a stereotype. And then all this unfolds. And for example, a child will go to them at break time in their own time when they're supposed to be having a break.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, so-and-so, I'm really upset. And now you can't, back when we were in school, we can't say, just get out to play. Yeah. You have to have that emotional time with them, and then you don't have a break. So many times you guys don't get breaks, and people
I was going to say, how many times do you get a knock on that door? Mr. Webster.
So many times, yeah. But
Mr.
so do you.
Webster. Yeah.
And there's so many things you have to sort out, and then it's, people just don't realise. And when those new teaching assistants come in, they get such a shock, don't they?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to watch. And we're like, no, this is absolutely normal.
What, this?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, no, you have to be a jack of all trades, don't you?
Yeah.
And I will say, 100%. Having worked in the infants, that has its own challenges, because kids will come in, they've wet themselves, pooed themselves. Yeah. And then, you've got to spend your time then cleaning up the mess, or vomit, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Loads of other
all the
things
fun
like
things.
that. Yeah, all the great things that you signed up for, taking up your time, got other stuff to do, or it's supposed to be your break, and you've got to do that. Yeah. So
I can't remember the question though. What was
we've ranted so much.
Ranted.
So here's a really interesting one. So we were speaking before about the power and how stereotypically some people, I am very much the teacher and you do as I say. You may not have come across this, but if you have, how do you deal with that relationship between a teacher, their authority, and your creativity? So for example, the teacher might say to you one thing and say, right, I really want you to go and do this, but you then think, but actually I could do this slightly differently and I think that's better, but I don't want to tread on their toes.
It is difficult, isn't it? Because you have to have a certain level of respect to think, it's their classroom. And like Mr. Webster's been very good with me because I'm a bit controlling with the display boards.
No, I've been lucky, actually, to be fair. People that I've worked with have all been very lovely, I've been lucky.
I mean, I've heard stories from other schools where some of my friends, some male as well, it's quite rare to have a male TA. Yeah. They've said, I haven't done something exactly how they wanted, and they've absolutely, been really disrespectful, even shouted. Yeah. And it's just, you're supposed to be, you don't sign up for that. You're supposed to be a colleague working with somebody.
Yeah. Again, no, I think it becomes, I think it should come from a higher level. So it should be like the whole, what we were saying about the whole teaching assistant thing. Like if the, the contracts changed, or like the
name changed.
Yeah. So if it comes from above and saying like you've got, so as a teacher, you've got the responsibility of like directing and leading. Yeah. But then you're a team. You are a team. So like things like, otherwise it becomes a lot of responsibility. Like, there's a checklist of what certain things you need in your classroom. Like just putting it, just coming from you is quite a responsibility. Whereas if you took advantage of the team and it become a collective thing, then you're just like halving your workload anyway. Yeah. But it should be more of a, I just can't believe someone would shout if the you're not doing exactly what they're telling you to.
I mean, the kids will pick up on that, won't they?
Yeah.
And one of my friends has said that certain children won't even listen to them. They're like, you're not a teacher. Why should I even listen to you? And that's come from the negativity from the teacher towards him. Yeah. And then the kids have picked up on that and gone, well, she's treating you, like a pile of rubbish. So I'm not going to listen to you. You don't have that authority here anymore.
Yeah. Then from a management side, so the teacher being the manager in the classroom sort of thing, that's not good practice anyway. Because you're just telling that person they're not, they're worthless.
Yeah.
Which I've seen before, and it's just not nice. Like if you've got someone that sort of believes in you, and if you've got someone that believes in you and wants you to have an input and a say, you're always going to go that extra mile.
Yeah, I was
And,
gonna
like,
say, like what you said about
Your confidence is going to grow as an individual. You've contributed to the classroom. You know, it's only ever going to have positives being nice and like
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
giving that
Well, you're supposed to be a role model for the kids
yeah,
as well,
yeah,
aren't you?
definitely. And like I think like us three get on so well, and the children, like it's a happy environment. It's not a
Definitely
toxic
is, yeah.
environment.
No, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, we're almost
Yeah.
like a little family. That's
Yeah,
how I feel.
yeah,
It's really
I
good
definitely
fun.
say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's just a happy place. Like you're happy in yourself. You don't go home having that feeling of like, oh, I've got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it's the complete opposite. You're like, oh, I've got to go to work tomorrow. And like I know I could go to you for help. You could come to me for help. You could come to us to help.
Yeah, which I
You
do.
know, yeah.
Many times, yeah.
But there's no awkwardness. Like you'd never feel like, you know, oh, am I doing the right thing? Or
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk funny stories now. Let's finish off some funny stories that we've accumulated over the years. So I'm going to start us off with one, which Kaylee knows. It's my favourite one. So we had picture day, school photo day. And we've got some characters, haven't we, in this class?
we have.
And I'm very impressed Kaylee's agreed to come on to this today because she's a little bit camera shy. So we thought, me and Sophie had our photos done first, and the photographer got the children to pose next to us. We were sat on like a cushion and they would pose next to us.
It was quite cheesy anyway.
It was cheesy, yeah.
You know, it wasn't your get the benches out in the hall.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where it's like levels.
Yeah.
Like that's dated now. That's time of the past.
Yeah. And so we had ours, didn't we? So Kaylee was the last person to have her photo, and the children that were left, you know, obviously went next to Kaylee. And
you say that it was like the leftover children, you know, all the no, we were split into groups.
Yeah, we were split into groups. But one of our favourite children, he was positioned right on your shoulder, wasn't he?
Perched.
So we were trying to make Kaylee laugh because we know she doesn't like the camera, and we could see Kaylee going a little bit red. And anyway, the photographer said, "Right, guys, you know, smile. 3, 2, 1, cheese." And the person that was next to Kaylee genuinely did the smile that they thought was a good smile.
Aww.
But they hid all their teeth as if they had their false teeth out. Like, oh. So we started laughing immediately. And then that got you really paranoid, didn't it? And you were like, what's going on? Why are you laughing?
His little leg, when he put his leg up.
Yeah. And he put his leg up behind him like he was smitten with you.
And obviously me and Mr. Webster are watching this, and we are crying. Like we are, but we're trying to be professional as well in front of the.
Because it got to a point where I was worried that Kaylee would just think we were
laughing at him,
being really mean. Yeah, she couldn't see the drama that was going on behind.
Oh, it was so funny. But that's become like so whenever I take a photo of Kaylee now, I'm always like, do you pose?
Oh yeah.
Pose? And it's become like it's become your pose now, hasn't it?
It has.
You've stolen it off him.
It's so funny.
Oh.
That'll stay with me for a long time.
So
Probably one of those had to be there. Everyone listening will be like,
when you retell the story, it's just like,
wasn't that funny?
it doesn't sound that funny, guys. We have got some characters in here though, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So Mr. Webster recently did Miss Kaylee's idea, but it was an award ceremony. That was good, wasn't it?
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Where they all had they each bring their own little traits to the classroom, don't they?
Yeah, that was really nice. And
Just
what was
a little bit of observation.
what was nice? Everyone knew
Who was going to get the
what award was for who. Because
So,
it was
They did really well. I didn't think they'd.
Yeah.
Some of them, they knew all of them.
Yeah,
Every
they
single
did.
one. They,
Slam the
They
Door
knew.
Award.
Best hairstyle award.
Yeah, Fountain of Knowledge.
Fountain.
It was
Referring
good.
back to the start of this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Fountain of Knowledge was an award given to one
You
of the
two didn't
children.
win.
We did not win, although I feel like we should get some sort of praise for our Miss Kaylee's very good with facts. She'd be a golden member if you were to have a quiz.
Well, no, the Miss Kaylee has told us her secret technique to
Yeah.
winning quizzes.
I have.
and that's by shouting out wrong answers on purpose.
Yeah. So we
2 + 2. Oh, 3. It's 3.
Yeah,
And
she's
everyone
very
writes
convincing.
3.
We had Christmas time when we had our works night.
Yeah.
I honestly, I've got trust issues now. But we had the quiz, and Miss Kaylee was on a different table. My 2 quiz mates went to Spa to get some wine, left me by myself, and
this quiz started at like 3:45 after school.
this quiz.
Get the wine quick.
There was a lot of rounds, wasn't there?
Was a lot of
It was quite lengthy. But so I'm left, imagine the scenario. So I'm left by myself, like no idea. So it was the Christmas round, I think. And it was like, it wasn't fun Christmas questions. It was really quite, no offence to her, she'll know who she is, who wrote the quiz, but very serious questions. I didn't have a clue. I literally had no idea. Kaylee on the other table. One question was...
who invented the light bulb?
What did you shout out? Definitely.
I said it's IKEA.
Tesla.
It's definitely IKEA.
But she was so convincing. No, like that. Like now, I'd probably be like IKEA. Like no, but she was just like honestly, like there was an article I read about it.
Yeah.
It's
She built up
IKEA.
your trust over the year in class.
Yeah, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to give this girl a chance. So she clearly wants to help me. She can see I'm vulnerable on my table by myself. So there was probably around... And so after the quiz, we were going through all the questions, and all mine were wrong. Every single question. And every time, like, she'd be like, what, you actually put that down? Like, you actually put that down? Yes, I did. I let my guards down and trusted you.
And the alpha.
And come last in the quiz, so...
You know, for next year.
Yeah. Well, next... Yeah, I was going to say,
We'll invite
just
you
go
back.
in her team.
We'll invite you
Yeah.
back.
I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, we'll get you
Although
on.
we are
We'll
doing
invite you,
a pie and pudding.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You could come.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Pie and pud.
I will go to that.
And a quiz. Yeah, it's fine if you're on her team.
Yeah.
Advice
Just
to
don't
all.
write down any of the answers she shouts out.
Yeah.
I'll probably tell this story on every single episode, and I think I've told it to you before. And it was when, I think it was my second year, or no, maybe my very first year as a teacher. So I just qualified, fresh-faced, eager, wanted to learn. So Glenn was my mentor, Mr. Thomas. So I was, yeah, that's not the funny bit. So he was my mentor. And he was great, and he still is great. And I call him Mother Glenn.
He's
Mother
great.
Hen. So good, yeah. So I was in awe of Glenn. I still am. And he's great. And one day, the cleaner after school says, Mr. Webster, Mr. Thomas, you need to get into and have a look in the cubicles and the boys' toilets right now. And we're like, oh gosh. Had a look, and there was on the backside, no pun intended, of the cubicle, there was a massive smiley face that had been drawn in poo. And we just stared at this thing for a while because it was a sight to behold. And yeah, Julie wasn't happy. You're gonna have to help me clean this off. So the next day we had to have a serious chat with the year ones and year twos. So Glenn said, being my mentor, I've got this. Sit at the back, I'll show you what to do.
I'll show you how it's done.
I'll show you how it's
Get your
done.
notepad.
Yeah, take some notes. And I literally did. I was at the back on the table, like kicking my legs. Like, I can't wait to see how he handles this.
Yeah, I'm going to learn so much today.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So all 3 classes piled into his room, sat on the carpet, and he does his stern teacher face. And he'd set the tone straight away, and you knew, anyone that laughs is getting a scolding now. This is serious stuff. So, you could hear a pin drop, and he's like walking back and forth. He's like, right, somebody in here thinks they're really funny, and everyone's like, oh, no. And you could see, we knew who it was, and they were starting to get a bit twitchy. And what he says next was genius play on words that he knew would go over the kids' heads, but he knew the adults in the class would get it. And he was basically saying, I'm going to test you now. I'm going to see if you laugh, And he goes, someone thinks in this class that they're an artist. We've been into the boys' toilets. And somebody thinks they're a Picasso. And I just wasn't ready for it.
I hope you didn't spit your tea out everywhere.
And when you're not allowed to laugh, and it just makes you want to laugh 10 times more. And my shoulders are just going like this. I think I had to turn around and pretend I was looking at the display or fiddling with something. It was the funniest thing I've ever witnessed ever.
I wonder how long he'd been waiting to use that.
It was so good. But that's the thing with Glenn. I think he had genuinely just gone bam.
Off the cuff.
He's so quick.
He's so witty.
It was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. I'll tell that to my grandkids.
This one day.
Oh gosh, it was funny.
In the olden days.
Yeah.
It's so funny you talking around when we were in school. This just comes to me now, but I always remember say if you did something wrong, you'd just have to stand outside the classroom. I don't know what that was all about. Right, get out of the classroom, and you'd just be stood there twiddling your thumbs for 87 years. 87 years outside the classroom. And then the worst thing was if the head teacher walked past and they'd be like, what are you doing out here? And you'd have to explain.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You don't really see that now, do you? You don't really see many kids hanging around outside the classroom. If you told them to get out of the classroom, they'd just be like, okay, off I go. I'll see you tomorrow. It's quite funny thinking about how behaviour management, how it's changed from when we were back in the day when we were in school all those years ago.
It's changed.
It's changed.
So thanks very much, guys. Thanks for coming on. And if you liked what you heard, or if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And
Hit
if
that
you're
like button.
As the kids say, follow and subscribe.
Subscribe. We're nearly at 1 million followers.
Yeah. One day we'll be doing this in Wembley Stadium. Yeah, and if you're listening on wherever you get your podcasts from, please follow and give us any feedback as well. And if there's any questions you'd like to ask, comments, and we'll put them on some of the future episodes. And we'll have Miss Sophie on soon. She's off to be a teacher and do her PGCE. So we'll probably do an episode about what it entails on the PGCE later on.
Tips and tricks for the interview.
Yeah. So thanks very much.